Yes, it all started out as a mild curiosity in the junkyard.
There are some corners of the universe which have read the most terrible things.
Go away.
Always remembering, of course, not to reverse the polarity of the neutron.
Change, my dear. And it seems on a moment too soon.
Decision.
Don't worry, it's bigger on the inside.
Doctor Who.
Excuse me, do you mind not farting while I'm saying the word?
I always read the instruction.
Kidneys! How can you kidneys? Would you like a jelly baby?
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Lewis Moon, I give you my consent to do the spoiler warning.
Okay, so today in the next upcoming podcast there will be a few spoilers for The Pyramid at the End of the World. So if you haven't watched it, go to iPlayer immediately. I give you my consent to do that. Welcome to episode 214 of Doctor Who, Time and Space, a weekly father and son Doctor Who podcast with the father,
Dr. Cool, me,
and the son, Lewis Moon, me. We're here for the next hour to present you with some fascinating Doctor Who greatness. Yes, amazing.
And what does that greatness consist of this week?
So this week, our main feature will be our review, which you can see in a few minutes, of last week's episode of Doctor Who, The Pyramid at the End of the World, and we'll both be sharing our thoughts on that. We didn't have very high expectations after our very critical review last week of Extremis. Can it improve, or did it get even worse?
We'll also be following that up by giving our thoughts and previews to the following episode, which, if I can remember rightly, is called something like Lay of the Land.
Yeah, the Lie of the Land.
Lie of the Land,
yes. We have our top alien invasions.
And we have some news and views from the Whoniverse.
Yeah, so all that and more. So sit back, get a cuppa if you want, or
might just do that,
or a drink or something.
Might do that too.
And get a little biscuit or snack, and just over the next hour, enjoy us sitting down and talking about Doctor Who. So, should we begin with our review of The Pyramid at the End of the World?
Okay.
So, before we get into our thoughts of The Pyramid at the End of the World, as you may remember from last week, I'm not letting you go first, D-Cool, because you always go into Too Good, Too Bad.
Okay.
You may be able to go first next week.
Okay. After you suitably ticked me off last week.
Yes. So, a synopsis of the episode. So, Bill and Penny, who's sadly uncredited for this episode on Wikipedia.
Really? That's sad.
Yeah. They are having a date, but soon they get interrupted by the Secretary General of the United Nations. This is because a 5,000-year-old pyramid has appeared overnight in Turkmenistan, which is a disputed area where there is a war zone between the American, Russian and Chinese forces. Turkmenistan was previously at Zygon training camp, I believe.
Okay, we said, didn't we, without meaning to interrupt you too much, but I remember when we saw the trailer for the series, we recognised that place as being the place from Zygon Invasion.
Yeah, we did. the Secretary General of the UN recruits the Doctor, who's the President of Earth, to help. So the Doctor is still blind since Chasm Forge, and he's still keeping it a secret from Bill. The monks are occupying the pyramid. Are the ones who the Doctor and all of the virtual reality people, Dr. Bill Nardole, they encountered in the virtual reality universe in Extremis. And they find out that the Dr. Bill and Nardole discover that they've turned every clock in the universe in the manner of the Doomsday Clock. We'll talk more about that later. The Doctor and Bill soon join the leaders, and as they try to negotiate with the monks, they use the monks using their computer running their simulations so that Earth will be lifeless within a year. They offer humanity their help, but it only if they offer consent. The Doctor warns that this consent would have unknown but everlasting consequences. The Secretary General offers his consent, but the monks disintegrate him, saying he gave it out of fear, not love. Okay, so should I start?
Yeah, you give your thoughts.
After quite a disappointing episode last week, I heavily enjoyed The Pyramid at the End of the World. I thought it was one of the strongest outings of Series 10 so far. We had this sort of political element, and it was back to that classic Peter Harness sort of style, which I'll talk more about later on. But yeah, it was very great. It was a very great episode. Yeah, one of the highlights of the series. Much stronger than last week. Yeah, mainly there for what?
So I accidentally dropped a big pillow on you.
Mainly there for a setup for next week's, I think. But it's a really good middle part of this three-parter. I really enjoyed it this week, much more than I was expecting to. What did you think of it, Dr. Cool?
As you know, last week I was extremely disappointed with Extremis. Extremously disappointed with Extremis. I didn't like it very much at all, and I hadn't really sort of enjoyed Oxygen prior to that much either. So I was on a sort of a two episode run of disappointment. So I didn't really have that much high hopes for Pyramid. Got to say that actually it's probably my favourite one of the series so far. I really, really enjoyed it. I still have the same misgivings as I had previously about the necessity of the preceding Extremis story. I know that it set up this whole issue around the virtual universe, but I personally still feel that was... Whilst it made the episode better, it made Extremis better than what it had been, it still felt like they didn't need to have spent a whole episode doing that. They could quite easily, rather than having a virtual universe, they could quite easily just said the monks have been watching them since the beginning of time or something like that.
I agree. I was reading an advance review for Live of the Land from Doctor Who Online, and they were saying that this three-parter, including Live of the Land, feels like it's been dragged out.
Okay.
I think maybe they could have spent like half an episode or maybe less, and then turn on the virtual reality stuff in Extremis, and then turn the because otherwise you'd need more explanation in Pyramid, and then turn it into a two-parter.
I just don't think there was any need for Extremis at all, really. Personally.
Okay.
I don't think it was necessary. But no, I did think this was a really good one. It had everything that you want in a Doctor Who episode.
Definitely my kind of story, I think.
Yeah.
Was it one of your kind of stories?
Definitely was, yeah.
Yeah, I really like the Zygon two-parter. That was one of my favourite stories ever of Doctor Who.
It reminded
so
me very much of that. You could
it
tell
did,
that it
yeah.
was the same writer.
Definitely.
Perhaps I can ask you something then, Lou.
Yes.
Can I? Can I ask? Oh, yeah. I better ask you that again, just because it got
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
minute ago.
okay.
Let's ask you that again. Too good, too bad.
Too bad. Sorry,
do you like
we
the
have
sort of-
had some sound effects that have been a bit problematic recently.
I like it though. It sort of gives us that sort of 70s Radio 1 DJ sort of thing.
It does,
Where it's sort
doesn't
of,
it?
Hey, Lewis Moon, what do you think about
So, Too Good, Too Bad is, I don't suppose you could call it filler section of the show because it's a bit which really generates our talking habits. But we decide, well, two good things and two bad things, or too good, too bad, about each episode, in this case the Pyramid at the End of the World, with one good and one bad each. In the case of their being nobody can think of a good or nobody can think of a bad, we've got to work together or the other person has to give a good or a bad.
Yeah. Because some things are too good and some things are too bad.
Okay, should I
You're going to kick off with
kick
your first good?
I'm going to go for Peter Harness. Now
Okay.
this may seem like a weird thing. I'm not saying Peter Harness was great in the episode because he didn't actually appear in it, but he was the writer of this episode. And I've really grown to like his style of writing for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And I think he started to get this really great track record of Doctor Who stories. As I said, Zygon Invasion, Zygon Inversion was one of my favourite episodes of all time. I quite liked Kill the Moon. That was very much better than a lot of people said. And Pyramid at the End of the World was amazing again. So I really liked his sort of political sort of essence.
I think that what's
Yeah.
fair to say is that there's a certain moral thing that runs
There
through,
is,
isn't
yeah.
there? Which I would ordinarily not like,
Yeah.
but he seems to do it really, really well.
They've got this big theme. What he does well is he replaces common issues like or common things that are going on at the moment or something in the world.
Yeah.
Such as, he had the Zygons all over the world. It was sort of like I forgot the word now.
It was very much like ISIS, wasn't it?
Yeah, ISIS, that's it.
Yeah. And of course, he also, whilst thinking about things which are a bit like what's happening in the world, he had us having a giant egg up in the sky.
He did, yeah.
Kill the Moon.
That definitely happened. And this episode had the Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
Did you know about the Doomsday Clock?
I'd heard reference to it, but I couldn't
Yes.
say that I remember
No.
what it was.
I'd read about it earlier in the year because it was online that it had gone up to like 2.5 minutes to midnight.
Yeah.
I really like the references to that in this episode. I really love Peter Harness's style of writing, and he's become one of my favourite writers of the modern era of Doctor Who, perhaps one of my favourite Doctor Who writers of all time.
Yeah.
Obviously not up there with people like Robert Holmes and Stephen Moffat and stuff, who I think have done some really impressive stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's quite high up in my list of writers now. What did you think of Peter Harness's style of writing?
I think, like you say, he's one of the writers that you now really look forward for, don't you? Because
Yeah.
his track record is probably second to none, really, in recent times.
I hope Chibnall calls him on for the new series.
Yeah.
For series 11 onwards, because I don't know. I've got a feeling, because we've got some news later on about the Christmas special production, who's going to be directing it. We'll talk about that in the news. We have this sort of thing that Chibnall's going to make this really fresh start to Doctor Who,
Yeah.
and perhaps that we are having a new Doctor, we are having a new showrunner, we'll probably have a new companion, a new TARDIS interior, a new sonic screwdriver, a new title sequence, a new set of writers, a new set of directors. I don't really know whether he's going to carry on some of the old writers, because maybe he'll come up with a brand new batch of writers.
There does seem to be this talk about him having this sort of writer's room approach, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it makes you think maybe we will lose some of the writers that we've known to love.
Jamie Matheson and Peter Harness and Toby Woodhouse and people like that we may lose, sadly.
Yeah. I think if you finish going off on probably the biggest tangent we've ever had since we started the podcast, I was thinking of my good. I think it would probably be the ending. I really liked the ending. I liked the decision that Bill had to make. I liked the way that the Doctor was so close to having turned it all round and then basically had it taken from him. I mean, he was willing to sort of sacrifice himself at the end. Obviously, Bill, he had that sort of sequence where she made that deal with the monks, which gave the Doctor his eyesight back, enabled the Doctor to do whatever it was he was doing to sort of blow up the laboratory and hence stop the emission of all of that sort of chemical disease stuff.
Yes.
And it's sort of wider than that, I guess. If I extend that good thing out, that was really an extension of the whole thing, the whole concept behind the monks anyway, which is that they were wanting people to show the sort of truth in wanting them to take over the planet. So we saw a couple of people get disintegrated earlier on. We saw the UN guy got melted because he wasn't sincere. We had the others, the rest of the army people, disintegrated because they were thinking of strategy rather than being sincere. And it wasn't until Bill really made the plea to save the Doctor's life that we saw the sincerity. But at what cost? At what cost, I tell you? We'll perhaps talk about that a bit in a minute.
Okay, yeah, I really like the resolution, and I suppose it was probably the best bit of the episode, this resolution of the story.
It was the strongest ending we've had of any story, I think, so far in this season.
It was quite explosive, I thought. You know, we had the Doctor gaining his sight back, but at a cost.
Yeah.
And that was Bill's mistake. You know, and the consequences of that will be shown more in the next episode. Obviously, Nardol's collapsed for some reason. We don't know what's going on there. It was a very explosive ending, I thought. Very exciting ending. And I thought it was a great resolution to the episode.
So, we'll come back to perhaps the honourable mentions in a minute.
Yes.
But whilst keeping in the theme of what are your bad things about the episode? It's quite a difficult one because
I'm gonna go with a bit of pace.
Yeah.
Difficulties. Doctor Who has struggled with pace occasionally in the history. Another thing it's struggled with is resolutions, which seems to be every other episode now, because I'll talk a bit about Live the Land later on, but apparently there's a stupid ending, which would mean that every other episode of the series for me has a sort of stupid ending. But the I thought it was a tiny bit of a lull in the middle, not drastic amount, but
it's funny because I didn't really get that. I didn't feel it. I thought it was really well paced.
Yes,
I really enjoyed it all the way through.
Yeah.
I didn't struggle with the pacing at any point, and I often do.
It did take some time to get to places, and that was a bit. It was a bit weak how they managed pace at points, but I don't think this was too severe. I just wanted to point out that there were a few pace difficulties.
Yeah. I think my bad, and I hadn't really thought about this earlier on, but as we were listening to the Blue Box podcast earlier on, and one of the guys on there mentioned it. But I think probably my bad would be the return of the President of the World stuff.
Okay.
Which I always find a little bit embarrassing as well. It sort of worked in a sort of humorous type way when that came up in the 50th anniversary special. I think
it didn't come up in.
When did it first come up?
Duckworth's Death in Heaven.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's right. It was that one, wasn't it? When that came up there, that it worked quite well in sort of like a jokey bit, but they've used it now a few times, and it's a little bit boring.
It did feel very Unity story.
Yeah.
They replaced Unit, I think. Do you think the Unit team were needed? Do you think it would have been good to see them, or do you think they would have been in a useless sort of appearance?
I think there's a danger, and again, I'm sort of replicating something they said on that other podcast earlier, but I think it probably did have the danger of being a bit too similar to the Zygon story if we had had them. But I think looking at it another way, in reality, if that scenario had been happening, surely Unit would have been called.
They would have been, yeah.
So it didn't seem very plausible that Unit weren't involved in it.
I'm a bit shocked we haven't seen Unit yet. It is quite a good thing they've kept them out of it.
Yeah.
Because it's good to have some refreshing stuff coming in.
Yeah.
But it's been quite shocking that Stephen has kept them out this series so far.
Do you think we'll see them later on or not?
Maybe in the Christmas special.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems right. So, if those were the two goods and two bads, what would be honourable mentions either way? As honourable goods or honourable bads, or dishonourable bads, I should say. The monks were really cool, weren't they? Again, second time running, they were still really creepy.
Yeah, the monks were terrifying once again.
Yeah.
It was great to see them back. I think they've brought that really great scale, that great element of threat back into Doctor Who that we thought had been lost for a while. And this episode felt very threatening, I thought. It felt like the stakes were high again, and we hadn't had that with Doctor Who for years now.
Monks, threat, bring it.
Yeah, bring it.
Yeah, which is another great bit. I love that. I really liked it. I really liked the line when he said, "I'm bringing it."
Yeah.
Loved that. Really good.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
Okay, let's move on to the relations between the three main players, the TARDIS team.
Okay, the TARDIS trio.
Yeah.
Who should we start with? Peter or Pearl or Matt?
Let's talk about Capaldi first of all.
Okay.
What do you make of Capaldi in this episode?
Capaldi was great as always. He's always great. I think, like we were saying the other week, you expect Peter Capaldi to be great in every single episode he's in.
Yeah, I don't remember an episode where Capaldi hasn't been great, to be honest.
I mean, there have been a few times where his character was a bit like, messed up with. Sometimes he was dark, sometimes he was light. And that was in Series 9. There were a few cases of that, which were a bit annoying, but I'm only pointing that out because other people have. Wasn't too noticeable when I was watching Series 9, but looking back at it, I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah, I'm not sure I 100% agree with it, but I do think that at times the writing of him has suffered, whereas actually he's been brilliant. However, he's been written.
It's improved a lot, the writing for him. Peter Capaldi has had a consistent personality in Series 10.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Pearl?
Yeah, I thought probably of all the episodes, this wasn't Bill's strongest episode.
Definitely not, no, because she didn't have too much to do.
No, she wasn't really the main player in this one. I mean, she did obviously have the big essential ending.
Yes, and that was great to see her involved in this very important way, and she will be involved a lot in Live the Land. I think she's meant to be the main character, basically, in Live the Land. She's more involved with the Doctor. I
do think that, I made mention of this quite early on after we'd watched a few episodes, but I think she has, without doubt, put herself in position as my favourite companion of the modern era.
She's quite
she's been really, really brilliant.
Yes, I always struggle with lists like that, but yeah, she would be quite high up in the companion list, I think.
Yeah.
If we did that again, you know, when we did that companion, rank the companions.
Yeah.
We should do that again one time and add Bill and stuff, and Nardole and stuff to it. Now we've seen more of the characters from the randomizer, we should add a bit more, because you've seen like Liz and you've seen like some of the other characters.
Yeah,
too,
I would definitely change it, because I mean,
Bill and
going again off on a bit of a tangent, but I know Liz would be a lot higher in my companion list, having watched episodes with her in.
You've also seen people like Polly and Ben and stuff more.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, we'll do that again at some point in the next year.
Okay, so moving on then to Nardole.
Nardole. Great. Again, he's been involved quite heavily in Oxygen, Extremis, and Period at the End of the World. And I think he's been the highlight of some of the. I think he's been one of the highlights for some of these stories. I have mentioned him for our Too Good, Too Bad, Good section for 3 times, I think, in Doctor Who, and 1 bad, I think.
Yeah.
If we did it for Husbands of River Song, but I don't think we did. I think Nardole has really grown on me. He's quite likeable. I really like him, and I love the way he gets on with Capaldi and Pearl McHugh.
Yeah.
The TARDIS trio, as I said last week, are one of my favourite TARDIS teams we've ever had, I think.
No, I'd agree. I'd agree on that one.
Yeah.
He certainly won me over, Nardole, because
Yes, he has.
I wasn't keen at all when he first came into it in Husbands of River Song. I thought he was one of the weak bits of that particular story. But he gets sort of every time he's in it. I think I like him more than the last time. We still don't know who or what he is, do we? I mean, there was reference made at some point to him having human lungs, even though he's an alien, and therefore, and we saw the consequences of that when he passed out, when the fumes of this disease were being sort of pumped out everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You sort of get the impression he's some form of sort of weird Frankenstein type monster. Do you think we're going to find out by the end of it, or do you think it's relevant? Do you think we need to find out?
I think we will find out. I don't know if we need to find out. I want to find out, but I don't think we need to.
Yeah.
But I think we will.
Can I ask you a question about this episode?
Of course.
Because I think of the two of us, I really didn't like Extremis whatsoever.
Okay.
And you liked it more the second time round.
Yeah, you haven't watched it twice though.
No, I haven't. No. To what extent do you think this episode makes up for the shortfallings in Extremis?
I think that it does improve Extremis a lot.
Yeah.
It sort of explains the virtual reality stuff. It makes sure that it's not as pointless. It's not like they've forgotten about it all and everything, and it's not that, you know, that episode was wasted, because if you didn't have it, then I don't think this episode would have entirely made much sense. We wouldn't know what the monks were, and then in the next few episodes we wouldn't know about Missy and the vault and stuff, and I don't think they could have unveiled that in any other time. Even though that was just stupid how they did that. But yeah, no, it did make up for it a little bit, but I'm still a bit annoyed by Extremis, but not as much as 2 weeks ago when we first watched it.
Do you think of this as being part 2 of the trilogy, or do you see it as being a standalone episode with a loose tie-in? Instantly, I think it's a loose tie-in.
Yeah, I find this one, a loose tie-in. I find this one maybe part 1 of this 2-parter.
Yeah. And
then have this one as a loose tie-in with Extremis.
Okay.
That's how I feel it so far, if Live the Land's going to be what I think it is. So
Okay.
yeah.
Whilst keeping on the track of pyramids, what did you make of the co-cast in this one? So I've forgotten the names of them now, but the two guys in the
Erica and Douglas.
yeah.
Um.
Did you like them?
Oh yeah, I quite liked them.
I thought Erica was good.
She was quite good. I didn't really find. I thought they were good in the episode. I thought they were good one-time characters.
Yeah.
I didn't find Erica as good as most people said she was, but I didn't see why she was like, why they say like she's the best character ever or anything. I completely disagree with what some people have said, but I still quite liked her. I thought she was okay. So yeah, I thought she was quite an enjoyable character, and I thought she had a lot of significance in the episode, and her and Capaldi really worked together. I liked them together.
I did think it was quite clever how they determined which of the labs the experiment was happening in.
Yes.
I thought that was quite clever, the way that they turned all of them off and then let the monks turn the one back on.
Yeah, that was great.
That was good. I like that.
Yeah.
What about the various army people?
Nah. I don't really like. I don't really mind them. They were mere characters. They were just there for the story.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care if they died or anything.
They were responsible for one of the real highlights, though, weren't they?
They
the
were,
whole
yeah.
peace thing. You know, when you
They
think
were,
of all the
yeah.
trouble that we've got in the world now, but the fact that something like this was going to bring it together,
Yes.
and it makes you wonder, would that actually happen in reality? But and who knows?
It was a good episode to sort of make you wonder about what would happen in this scenario. I think the human race would have been stupid enough to give the monks consent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to? Have you got anything else to say, or do you want to see what people thought in our overview?
Yeah, let's see what people thought in our overview.
What should we do first?
Let's see what people thought first of all.
So over on the Twitter feed, we found that it was 5% terrible, 11% alright, 26% good, and 58% fantastic.
Very high on fantastic then.
Yes, very high.
It certainly is the first one from this series that would have gone into the fantastic category for me.
Okay, it's the second one this series probably. I think it just nudges into the fantastic category, but it's sort of like in between the good and the fantastic, I think, for me.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to give you a roundup?
Yeah, okay, so I really enjoyed Pyramid at the End of the World. When I'd finished it, I was really impressed by it. I thought Nardole was great, Peter Capaldi was great, Bill had an important role towards the end, which was a great resolution. However, she wasn't her strongest story. It was definitely a highlight of the series for me. I thought there were some funny scenes, some dark scenes, but yes, the ending of the episode was a highlight. It's a great leading to what looks like a very epic story next week. I'm going to give this episode an 8.6 out of 10.
Okay, I would sum it up by saying, after the disappointment of Extremis, it was great to see Who back on the right track. It was another episode which, whilst you couldn't say it was family friendly, you could say it's got that sort of family Who type feel about it. So it's certainly something I think the whole family would enjoy, even if they did to find themselves a bit scared at times. Monk's really good villains. Great interplay as always between the Doctor and his TARDIS team. Really liked the additional characters that we had within this one. And more than anything, I think the resolution to it was I didn't predict that happening, and I was glad that it did. So I'm going to give this one a 9.3, I think, which is
really high,
certainly my highest for the season. And looking at it in our chart of episodes that we've watched since we introduced the randomizer, it's into the green category for me, which is one of the real strongest ones.
Okay.
Real classic.
Really? Okay. Okay, So that was our period at the end of the world review. Remember, if you have any thoughts of the episode at all, then just share them at drwho time as in n space on Twitter, where you can share all of your thoughts, or on Podomatic or YouTube in the comments below, and we might have a chance to read them out next week. We'll happily do that, or at the Series 10 overview perhaps.
Okay. Shall we move on to our next section then?
Yes, okay, let's go on to the news. Okay, this week in the news, we have a new synopsis, a couple of merchandise items, and a little Christmas special update. We're going to start off with some ratings today, like usual. So, this week, right, before you haven't seen what this week's ratings are.
I haven't, no.
Okay, so what do you reckon this week's ratings are?
I would say that the viewing figures...
4.16 million last week.
How much, sorry?
4.16 million last week.
I'm going to think that they probably went down a bit to 4.16 last time, was it? I reckon they're going to be about 4 million this time. But I reckon the AI would have increased back to 83, is it?
Okay,
Yeah.
The viewing figures, you were right for the overnight viewing figures. 4.01 million viewers.
Okay.
So down 0.15, is it?
Yeah, something
million
like that.
viewers for the viewing figures, which isn't as bad as I thought.
No.
I thought it was going to go down in the 3 millions after last week. Tonight it will go down a lot because we have a schedule change which pits Doctor Who against BGT.
Not only BGT, Britain's Got Talent, but also the finale of Britain's Got Talent.
The finale of Britain's Got Talent.
It's going to be impossible for it to compete with
And
that.
of course, sadly, I'm going to have to go on that side. I must unveil that I will watch Doctor Who on catch up because it's too much to watch BGT on catch up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I just want to get BGT out of the way because
It'll be the first time you've not watched a series episode of Doctor Who live, won't it?
ever since I started watching it, yes, and I hate that, but I was forced to. So
By your mum.
yes, so I've got to sit through BGT, and then I'll be watching Doctor Who in the morning. But I'll still be here next week, obviously, to share my opinion. The AI for the episode.
Yep.
You were wrong about because it remains the same as 82.
82, okay. I mean, they've all been fairly consistent, haven't they?
They have, yes.
Was the highest it's been 84, was it?
Yes, it was.
For Oxygen?
For Thin Ice.
Thin Ice, okay.
So, yeah, peaking at 84, the average is 83, the last two episodes have received 82. So,
Okay.
I'm reckoning the whole of the 3 parts will get 82.
Yeah. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because if you look at that in comparison to, say, your Twitter polls, which I know is only a very small thing in the great scheme of things, but I reckon that's probably, this week's episode, probably the strongest Twitter poll that you've done.
No, I would say Oxygen had the strongest
so?
Twitter poll we ever done.
Okay.
Oxygen had like 70%.
Was it
It
really?
was fantastic.
Okay.
The Secret had like 58. So.
Yeah, okay.
On the front of Extremis' final viewing figures,
Okay.
the consolidated viewing figures went up from 4.16 million to 5.53 million, which is up from Oxygen's, which is 5.27 million. So up
Okay.
from about 0.3 million. This from last week, which is great to hear it when it goes up. That's brilliant. Still below average, I'd say, for ratings, but ratings are always going to go down.
Yeah.
Every series.
That always does. It always hits a sort of middle bit, doesn't it? Which drops and then it builds up again for the series finale.
Yes, it does. Okay, so we've got a synopsis now.
For
The Eaters of Light.
okay.
So the 10th episode of Series 10 which is written by Rona Monroe, who is the writer of Survival, so the first ever writer to come back from writing Classic Who, in her case the final ever Classic Who episode, to writing an episode of New Who.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks' time when we come to the preview. And it's directed by Charles Palmer, who directed Oxygen.
Okay.
Which is a good sign because Oxygen was directed well. So, a long time ago, the 9th Legion of the Roman army vanished into the mists of Scotland. Bill has a theory about what happened, and the Doctor has a time machine. But when they arrive in ancient Aberdeenshire, what they find is a far greater threat than any army. In a cairn, on a hillside, is a doorway leading to the end of the world. It airs on Saturday the 17th of June on BBC One with the time to be confirmed. What are your thoughts of this synopsis and the Eaters of Light?
Actually, that's one of my favourite synopsises that we've had.
Okay, cool.
I'm looking forward to this episode.
Yes.
Really looking forward to it. It's one probably... Is it the one I'm looking for the most? Maybe.
What about the finale?
Yeah, I guess. Although that thing that you mentioned, that it's not a spoiler. That theory that you'd read about on the internet.
Well, I'll talk about that in our preview.
Okay, that does worry me a little bit and put me off the finale slightly, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll come on to that in a minute.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not one of my most anticipated ones because it's a historical, and I'm not a big fan of historicals. But I love Thin Ice, so and I love Survival as well. You've never seen Survival, Decool, but it should come up on the randomizer soon for us to enjoy. But it's one of my favourite Sylvester McCoy stories.
When you say it should come up on the randomizer soon, what you mean is it could come up on the randomizer sometime over the next 4 years.
Yes, it could do.
So I think that was how long we worked out the randomizer had left to go, wasn't it?
I think it's 2018 at the moment, but of course the series, when they're on, it delays it, doesn't it? So probably 2021 I would say. Doctor Who showrunner Stephen Moffat has confirmed that Rachel Tallahay will be directing the 2017 Doctor Who Christmas episode, the last one before new showrunner Chris Chibnall takes over the series. The Christmas episode is also the last to feature current Doctor Peter Capaldi, and of course Rachel Tallahay has directed the final 2 episodes of both Series 8 and 9, so that's Darkwater, Death in Heaven, Heaven Sent and Hell Bent. And as well as directing the upcoming series finale, World Enough and Time of the Doctor Falls of the current series. So she's directing 3 episodes this year.
So that would have made her, would it not, the person that's directed more than anyone else during the Capaldi era?
Yes.
Okay, and she's probably no doubt the best as well.
Yeah, she is. I love Rachel Tallahay. She's done really impressive work.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing her job. It's quite an important one to do.
Yeah.
But Rachel Tallahay also comments here that she's just finishing up on the final episodes and planning the Christmas one, which she's also directing, which is my final one.
Ooh.
So
I wonder what she means by I'm just finishing the current. I assume the series was finished.
I guess she's finishing the editing.
Yeah, I guess.
Might be working on the editing.
So we're not too far away from those being shown now, are we?
No, we're not. Only we'll get a synopsis for World Enough and Time next week, I think. I've read the synopsis actually because I have the trusty Radio Times ahead of everyone else, probably.
Well, apart from Radio Times readers.
Yeah, I've read it a few weeks ahead, 11 weeks ahead of Decool, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
Actually 9 weeks.
What other news do we have, or have you got anything else to comment on this piece?
Let's see. Dorm. Dorm.
It finally arrived for you.
Finally arrived this week, yeah. Got it through the post. Fantastic issue this week. And it's issue 513. And Dawn will be previewing the next 4 episodes: Live the Land, Empress of Mars, Eaters of Light, and World Enough and Time. They're not previewing the Dr. Falls, they're doing that next issue with the big Michelle Gomez interview. I'm guessing it'll be, because this issue, it's a decidable cover issue, so a collectible cover issue. One of the covers is a New Wave Ice Warrior for the Empress of Mars, and one of them are, and the other one, which I love, sadly I got the Empress of Mars one, which is still great, the Mondasian Cyberman, who will be returning in World Enough and Time.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think in the next issue it will have either Michelle Gomez or John Sim.
Yep.
Perhaps, I don't know. So, in the issue, Empress of Mars scriptwriter Mark Gatiss tells us why he wanted to bring back the Ice Warriors in his new episode. But are they his all-time favourite Doctor Who monster? And he says, the Cybermen are my favourites, and yet I've never written for them. But the Ice Warriors are among my favourites, a great monster. I've always loved the pride of them, their Viking qualities and the voice. Even though they've had so few appearances, they loom so large. So I've always wanted to bring them back, because I thought I'd do something with them. You could just do a bit of world building, because there's so much to play with. We'll have our preview to Empress of Mars next week, so yeah. Also, the issue, Stephen Moffat answers burning questions about the series. Part 2 of The Soul Garden, the comic strip. The Fact of Fiction uncovers the Macra Terror. Reviews on the latest TV episodes, Knock Knock, Oxygen, Extremis and Period at the End of the World, as well as audio and DVD releases. Previews of all the latest Doctor Who and CD releases and book releases. And all the latest official news, the Watchers column, competitions, the Dawn crossword and more.
Yeah.
So that's out now.
Fantastic.
Okay, let's talk about...
Lethbridge Stewart novels.
I have got some news about the Lethbridge Stewart novels, which I'm sure you'll laugh about in a second.
Okay.
But first of all, I'm going to talk about Who Talk.
Okay.
Me
Talk.
Who Dog, Me Dog. So yeah, Phantom Menace have released the latest in their line of alternative Doctor Who commentaries, Who Talk, which this month focuses on the third Doctor tale, The Green Death. Katie Manning and Stuart Beavan will be brought together for their Who Talk debut, alongside unit regulars Richard Franklin and John Levney, plus Mitzi McKenzie and Michael E. Bryant will be joining them. The commentary is hosted by the stalwart Toby Haddock, who, if you're familiar with Big Finish, you may be familiar with his Toby Haddock's Who's Rounds, I think they're called, where he meets a celebrity associated with every story from the last 50 years.
Yeah.
He's still doing that now, but I don't think he's doing that concept now. I don't know. I think he might be. In addition to the regular release, a special side edition is also available, which, as well as the commentary, also includes a signature from a member of the cast, plus a free pack of 4 postcards featuring artwork from the Who Talk series. Full details on how to order can be found at the Who Talk website. Okay.
Any other news?
Yeah.
Bring it on. Bring it.
Okay, 2 more things. I'll talk about
Let's
2
be
more
Stewart
things.
novel.
First thing, one of the original Ice Warrior masks, first used in the 1967 Second Doctor story, has been found and restored by Toy Box Treasures. The prop brought to have been used in Doctor Who in both the Troughton and Pertwee eras was acquired last year. Decal can see this here.
Ooh. Yeah, cool.
The decision was taken to preserve the prop using a specialist team led by Mike Tucker, the BAFTA award-winning model maker, who has revived many things in the Doctor Who experience too, such as what did he do? He's doing the Yeti, I think, this year.
We saw a documentary about that, didn't we, at some point?
Yeah, from the fan show, I think.
That's right, yeah.
I'm unsure of what the ones... But when we went to the Doctor Who experience, there were two classic Who...
Yeah, didn't he
people,
do the
Tetraps.
Bones of Mortimus? Wasn't it that?
Yeah, Morbius and the
Morbius,
Tetraps,
sorry,
I think.
Yeah.
Was it?
I think it might have been, yeah.
Those were revived. In preserving the Ice Warrior's head, all existing pieces were used. They appeared... the Ice Warriors first appeared, if you didn't know, about 50 years ago now, this year, in the 6-part story The Ice Warriors, and they returned in the following season with The Seeds of Death. The first colour appearance when they appeared for the first time as good guys, as allies, in the Galactic Federation of Peladon, in The Curse of Peladon, followed by The Monster of Peladon 2 years later. I must say that Mark Gatiss was initially planning a Peladon story.
Was he?
For Empress of Mars. However, they said there's a story too similar to that elsewhere.
Oh, really? Okay.
Roaming around the corridors with flames and stuff.
Okay.
So you can see a full report on the restoration, including an exclusive interview with Mike Tucker, which was published in Doctor Who magazine issue 513. Okay, so last but not least, the Lethbridge Stewart quiz book.
Ooh, cool.
So Candy Jar Books have announced a new quiz book to tie in with 50 years of the character of Lethbridge Stewart. I think this is the most bizarre piece of merchandise we've ever talked about over the last 5 years of doing this podcast. Compiled by Mark Jones, author of the recent free story United in Blood, the book collects together trivia from throughout the Brigadier's on-screen life, plus questions relate to the Target novels, Big Finish and BBC audio stories, comic strips, and of course Candy Jar's own Lethbridge Stewart novels. Revisiting the classic formula of those quiz books, the new version has some 750 plus questions split over 12 sections dedicated to the adventures of Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart and unit. Examples include, in the television story The Time Monster, what was Tom Tit?
I don't know, it makes you sort of, it makes me think about somebody coming on to Mastermind, you know, and what's your specialist subject? My specialist subject is Lethbridge Stewart. You know, you just can't imagine it, can you? It's such a small world.
It is,
The small world of Lethbridge Stewart.
He's a great character, but...
Yeah.
Who is attempting to penetrate the Earth's crust in Inferno? What relation is James Lethbridge Stewart to the Brigadier? And what does UNIT stand for? Full details and how to order can be the Candy Jar Books website, which can be found at the show notes at mrlewismoonadventures.weebly.com, where you can find all of our stuff. You can find Dawn, and you can find the previews to episodes 8 to 11. We've got Doctor TV have loaded up their quote-unquote and their in a nutshell guides to Live the Land, Empress of Mars, Eaters of Light and World Enough in Time, with a few exclusive images as well. You can see the full previews in Dawn, and you can see links to all of the stuff we've talked about so far in full.
I'd just say we're by no means dissing the Lethbridge Stewart novels, because
no, they're probably great.
It's just like a little running joke we have.
It is, yeah.
Okay, is that enough of the news?
Yes, it is. Let's move on to our preview of The Lie of the Land. So tonight or yesterday or in the last week or
Depending on when you're
depending on
listening
when
to
you're
this.
tuning into this. The Lie of the Land will have aired on BBC One. This is the 8th episode of Series 10 and the concluding part of the 3-parter.
or the 4-parter,
Yeah, or a 4-parter.
if you include Oxygen.
Yes. So, the world is gripped by a mass delusion and only Bill Potts can see the truth. When even the Doctor is fighting on the wrong side, it's up to Bill to convince the Time Lord that humanity is in deadly danger. And if she can't do that, she may just have to kill her best friend. What are your thoughts on this synopsis? And what are your thoughts on Lie of the Land?
As a synopsis, it doesn't excite me.
Okay.
But what's the writer again? What's his name?
Toby Whitehouse.
That's right. Yeah. As a synopsis, it doesn't excite me, but often they don't.
Okay. It's directed by Wayne Yip. It's his Doctor Who debut. You may remember him from Class last year.
Yeah.
He directed Detained and The Metaphysical Engine, I believe.
Okay, well, certainly the Metaphysical Engine one was a really strong production, wasn't it?
Yes, and we said we wouldn't talk about Class from episode 200, so we're not going to talk about that anymore. Missy's back tonight as well.
Yeah.
We see inside that pesky vault for the first time.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to Missy's return? I mean, she's been confirmed for next week's as well. A couple of unexpected returns from Michelle Gomez.
Yeah, they're obviously making the most of her before she disappears.
Yeah.
If I could just interject quickly. We were having a discussion prior to the show where I was saying, I was asking which other episodes Toby Whitehouse had written, because I know nothing and you always know everything. And you reeled off a number of them.
Yeah.
And I was trying to remember what else he'd done, and I think I'd sort of said, was he the Being Human writer?
Yeah.
And you said you thought he might be, but you weren't sure whether it was him or Jamie Matheson.
Yeah.
Actually, both of them were Being Human writers. I just looked up, so there we have
Okay,
it.
that's cool.
Yeah, which is another great series, folks.
Yes.
If you get a chance to watch it.
Okay.
Toby Whitehouse was actually the creator of
Oh,
Being Human.
okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
sorry, I interject. I
No,
shall be
that's
quiet
fine.
again. Carry on.
We have a theory about the monks that we just like to put in here.
It's not our theory, is it?
It's not our theory, but it does make sense.
Okay. I hate it.
I hate it too, but I'm going along with it. And the person who created the theory also hates it themselves.
Yeah.
I saw it on Twitter the other day. So, I read that the possible spoilers here. I don't. This is a theory, but if you, it won't be spoilers.
It's only a spoiler if it turns out to be true, isn't it?
Yeah, but we don't know yet. This is a possible theory that we've got, that the monks will actually turn out to be Cybermen.
Boo!
Boo! So there's a few clues to this. So the monks, they are creating this planet, this dystopian future. It could be Mondas, Earth's twin planet from the 10th planet.
Yeah.
Stephen Moffat teased that the monks, we call them the monks, but that's not really their name.
Yeah.
You said that in the episode, the monks say, "We have taken this form."
Yes, they definitely said that. They definitely said, certainly on lines that we don't actually look like this really, but we've taken this form because it resembles the human race.
Yes, and Doctor Online said Missy may have met the monks before, and as you may remember, the monks, the Cybermen, and Missy encountered before in the Dark Water, Death and Heaven. I don't like this theory, but it sounds like it could be true.
Yeah, it just seems a bit pointless, doesn't it?
It does a bit.
I mean,
Just bringing the Mondasian Cybermen separately.
Yeah, I like the idea of the monks being this separate force.
Me too, but I think Stephen Moffat couldn't resist it.
Yeah, we should see. I mean, hopefully if it does end up being that, it will be done in a good way, but
Hopefully.
I don't like the idea of that at all.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
Should we move on to these hints and teasers then?
Yep, fire away.
So, the last Cork's cave paintings and Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man and Mona Lisa. You should kill us all on sight. Obviously, I knew the monks would appear, but I wasn't expecting the Daleks, the Cybermen, or the Weeping Angels. The episode may be Doctor Who's most globe-trotting adventure yet, with the teaser alone visiting the Empire State Building, the Eiffel Tower, the Bank of China Building, St. Basil's Cathedral, the Forbidden City, Mount Rushmore, the Sydney Opera House, Niagara Falls, the CN Tower, and Stonehenge.
Niagara Falls, by the way.
Did I not say that?
He said, no, Nigeria Falls, I think he said.
Did I?
Yeah. But the, I was just going to point out that, as anybody that listens to this podcast knows, one of my pet hates for Doctor Who is constantly seeing famous locations.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. Bill gets to talk to her mom, and I don't mean a framed photograph. Guess the questions and the answers. Australia, shook, obviously. Hint the pilot and oxygen, respectively. I used to have an imaginary friend until he left me for someone else. Found it in the TARDIS. Yeah, it was one of the drawers with some old takeaway menus and 50 Danish kroner. I can't wait to hear fan theories on what as Epsilon Fire Jupiter Lily means. It's like that time we discovered that huge fish creature in the Seine in Paris. That's it. Okay, let's talk about a few of these.
Okay.
You should kill us all on sight. That was the line they mentioned in The Impossible Astronaut, the Day of the Moon.
Okay.
Silence said that a lot.
Yeah.
Number 3. Obviously I knew the monks would appear, but I wasn't expecting the Daleks, the Cybermen, or the Weeping Angels.
Yeah. Is that being said from the perspective of the writer, or is that being said by the Doctor? Is that a quote, or is that just a statement?
That's a statement.
Okay.
But in the Dawn preview it says, let me just get up this Dawn preview. I want to read this to you if we have time. In the meantime, could you say you hated the locations in Doctor Who, didn't you?
Yeah, I just find it a bit boring where we constantly have to locate action at places that people are going to know all around the world.
Yes.
I can see why it's done. It's to try and bring a bit of familiarity to it, but not everything that's exciting happens outside Big Ben.
Yeah.
You know, I just get a bit bored of that.
Yeah. Any others you want to talk about in the
No.
teasers?
No.
Okay. Well, I have this description here. So, the monks have been with us from the beginning. They shepherded humanity through its formative years, gently guiding and encouraging, like a parent clapping their hands at a baby's first steps. They have been instrumental in all the advances of technology and culture. They watched proudly as man invented the light bulb, the television, the internet. They were even there to welcome the first men on the moon. They have defended us too. Who can forget the time the monks defeated the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Sontarans? And they have left their imprint on the arts too. The monks have found their way into Dickens and the Jason Bourne films. Two species sharing a history as happily as they share a planet.
I understand not.
Sorry?
I understand not. Where
Why?
does that come from?
Dawn.
Yeah, what does it mean?
What?
Maybe it'll all make sense
That
tonight.
description?
Yeah.
Basically, apparently they've rewritten history to
Okay.
make sure that they're in it. But
Oh,
yeah,
I see, yeah.
what I mean is that mentions that they must have defeated the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Sontarans instead of the Doctor.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Sorry, me being thick. I'm with you now.
Yes. Number 2. Favourite line. Oh my god, I'm going to beat the shit. We finally get to see what's inside the vault. Hint, there is a monster inside.
What was the favourite line? You said it really funny and that didn't make sense.
It's
Oh, it doesn't tell you the end of it?
No.
Oh, right.
I'm guessing it's a swear word.
Okay, that makes sense. I thought you just
Can't say that
strange.
on... we can't
Not
say
on
that on this
podcast,
podcast.
no.
It's a PG podcast.
It is. Is it even a U?
No. It's a PG podcast.
Okay.
We talked about suicide last week.
Okay, that's fair enough,
Yeah. Because even I think that's weird. And I've been attacked by a puddle. New boots, a particle accelerator, a 3D printer, and a pony. Racism and people who talk in movie cinemas. Remember how Shona avoided the Kadrifari? Our heroes do the exact opposite in the exact same way. Oh, darn it. There is a blink and you'll miss it cameo of Ian McNeice as Winston Churchill. Can you find it? I don't usually let someone on the first date, but seeing as it's you... The plot point that's shared between In the Forest of the Night and Thin Ice is blatantly revisited here. What do Mission to the Unknown, Doctor and the Silurians, The Mind of Evil, The Diamonds, The Sea Devils, The Sontaran Experiment, Genesis of the Daleks, and Midnight all have in common?
They're all
We
Doctor
can
Who
add
episodes.
the Lie of the Land to that list.
Okay.
Let's start with... we get to see what's inside the vault. Hint, there's a monster inside. Monsters in italics.
Okay.
What do you think that means?
Don't know.
Okay.
What do you think?
Have no idea.
Okay. I'm still trying to think of who the other one.
Yes.
Where they build up all the episodes.
Remember how Shona avoided the Kadrifari? Our heroes do the exact opposite in the exact same way.
Does that mean there's going to be some dancing involved?
Hopefully not. I like Last Christmas, but as you may know, I'm not a big fan of Shona. The plot point that is shared between In the Forest of the Night and Thin Ice is blatantly revisited here. So, something to do with children, maybe?
Okay, yeah, could be that.
Big groups of children?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Difficult to see what else that could be, yeah.
One bad episode and one good episode?
Mm-hmm.
That list of episodes, these hints and teasers came out yesterday, but I read them this morning. I've been struggling to find out what they all connect to all day.
I was thinking that there was a master connection to the majority of them, is there not?
No.
No? I know, I was trying to think, I know they had some time an experiment, which I couldn't think of having a master connection,
And
but I
the
thought
Doctor and the Silurians, Mission to the Unknown, Genesis of the Daleks and Midnight don't have
Okay.
the master.
Silurians does, doesn't it? Is the
No.
master not in that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sea Devils he is.
No, I'll get married of it, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I know not what I talk about. I
Okay.
don't pretend that I do.
Do you want to go on to our next section then?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to our top alien invasions. Okay, so, as you may know, we usually at this point of the show, this ending point of the show, we discover our top things relating to the episode that we've previewed in the segment before. Last week we talked about top Earth set episodes in the build-up to Period at the End of the World. This week we are going to do top alien invasions in a familiar format known as... Yes, Too Good, Too Bad. And today we're going to be discussing our 2 good alien invasions and our 2 bad alien invasions.
Okay, so, do you want me to kick off?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go, for my good one, I'm going to go for a New Who one. And it depends on what way you look at it. If you're looking at good invasion being one which is successful, a successful invasion, then it's going to be a bit of a struggle. But in terms of episodes that were good, featuring an invasion. I'm going to go for the Sycorax
Oh, good, you didn't choose my one.
for the Christmas invasion, because everybody loves Christmas and everyone likes a good invasion as long as it's on TV and not in the real world. I really like the Sycorax. I think they're a really cool looking monster. They're quite different than anything else we've had in Who. They've got a sort of proper warrior race sort of look about them.
Yeah.
Haven't
They were revived in Big Finish last year in Classic Doctor's New Monsters.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see whether we actually see them coming back at any point, because they're a monster that quite easily would lend themselves to returning. We had a discussion earlier on, didn't we, going off on a tangent as we often do, about recent series of New Who and monsters or aliens that could return in the same way as things like the Ice Warriors have returned. And we were saying that there hasn't been that much.
Yeah, I said the monks. I said this when the monks were first spotted on set, but I think the monks could easily become like that, but I don't think they will if they turn out to be Cybermen.
Yeah, and there's difficult to think too much past the Weeping Angels, wasn't it?
Yes.
Anyway, that was an aside. So I'm going to go for the Sycorax because it's a really good episode. It's the one that introduces us to the 10th Doctor. The 10th Doctor's not annoying in it like he is to me in a number of them.
Because he's asleep for most of it.
Because he is, yeah. And I really like the way that they dealt with the regeneration into him. I liked how... it was probably the toughest regeneration since the move from Tom Baker into Peter Davison, I would suggest. Who also struggled a fair bit.
So, yeah, it was... that was the Christmas invasion for you.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to go with the Zygon invasion and the Zygon inversion.
Okay.
As I commented on earlier, the Zygon two-parter is one of my favourite stories in Doctor Who history. The Zygons are one of my favourite villains of all time in Doctor Who, if not my favourite. They're great. I like the idea behind the story. It related to current day issues. Peter Harness wrote some really good scripts there.
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi did that anti-war speech. And Jenna Coleman, I think, played her finest role ever, I think, as Bonnie. Maybe just behind Deep Breath, I don't know. But... yeah, she was really good in that. And yeah, Peter Capaldi was excellent. So it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. And I liked how it started in the Day of the Doctor, and it was a long-lasting thing that went on. A long-lasting invasion. Yeah.
No, I really like the concept of it. I like the whole people learning to live together sort of idea. I thought that was really, really
Definitely.
well done. Okay, I mean, in terms of bad alien inventions, for the too bad section of it, I mean, probably the most feeble-sounding alien invasion ever isn't from Doctor Who, probably from Class, with the invasion of the Petals.
Yes.
Although that did turn out to be quite a good concept in actuality. In terms of episodes that aren't particularly good, I think I'm going to go for the Sontaran Stratagem.
Okay.
Because it's not very good as a story. It's not a very good episode. It's a bit naff.
It is a bit.
Probably to me one of the real low points of the return of Doctor
Who. No, not for me.
No, it's just dispensable. It's just completely throwaway.
It's completely throwaway, but I don't mind it as much as most people.
Okay, so what would you go for your bad?
I hope this counts, because I've been trying to think all week of one of these. In the Forest of the Night.
Yeah, that does count. I guess.
It's not from an alien itself. However, it is an alien source.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of In the Forest of the Night. I don't think many people are. I hated the idea of it. Obviously, we reviewed it on episode 206. We had some shockingly bad scenes in it.
I don't mind it.
And Peter Capaldi was good in it, but I hate children in Doctor Who. and it's one of the weakest stories of all of Doctor Who history for me.
Yeah, I'd say I don't mind
I
it.
suppose it's like the Sontaran case for me.
Yeah, true. It's interesting that we've chosen all new Who stuff
We have, haven't we?
in this instance, whereas it's very rare for us to do that.
Because they do it much more. They do alien invasions much more. Because in nowadays they have like public invasions, whereas in classic Who it usually used to be on alien planets or in
guess.
space or something.
I mean, if you were to think of the best invasion for
I forgot.
in classic Who, I mean, you could go for possibly Spearhead.
Yeah, or you could go for the invasion.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Or the Dalek invasion of Earth.
Yeah.
3 classic stories which I think have brilliant scenes. Obviously they've got classic scenes. Dalek invasion of Earth has the scene across the bridge. Invasion has the St. Paul's scene, and Spearhead from Space has the shopping centre attack thing. They're 3 of my favourite stories of all time as well.
Okay.
So I love those 3.
Yep, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Anything else to add to this item, or should we round off the show?
I don't believe so, yes.
Okay, so what do we have on next week's show?
So it's episode 215 of Doctor Who Time and Space, and we will be reviewing The Lie of the Land.
We'll be doing the preview for the next episode, which is called... I can't remember. Empress of Mars.
Yes.
Empress of Mars.
Yes, Empress of Mars,
Yeah.
the Ice Warriors Return. We will be discussing our top Ice Warrior stories.
And we shall have news and views from the Who-niverse.
Okay. So that's it from us today.
Indeed. I've been Dr. Cool, and I've been enjoying your company as always.
Yes, I've been Liz Moon. I've also been enjoying your company, and it's been a really good show. I hope you've enjoyed your cuppa and your biscuit if you've had that at home.
How can people get hold of us?
Okay, so you can contact us at DRWho Time as in N space on Twitter. We've been taken over by the monks currently on Twitter. As you can see here, we've got this Truths logo for Decool to see. We're taken over for a limited time only, and the monk symbol has invaded the Twitter account, as done with most Twitter accounts. Copy of the fan show. So you can contact us there at DRWho Time as in N space, and you can discuss Period at the End of the World, Lie of the Land, Empress of Mars, or anything you want to talk to us about, Series 10, or Doctor Who related, or any of the subjects we've talked about today, next week, last week, or ever. Anything we'll be happy to talk about, either on direct message or on the reply sections.
And if you enjoy, you can actually go to Twitter and go to and see the comments of Too Good, Too Bad on anything that we watch, not just Doctor Who related things, but stuff generally.
Yeah, like Star Trek and for you Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so
stuff like that. So
if you want to sort of give your thoughts on whether you agree that they're the good or bad bits of it, too good or too bad bits to be precise, then tweet back.
Yes. Plus, we have our YouTube account at Mr. Lewis Moon. We have our website, mrlewismoonadventures.weebly.com. We have Podomatic at Doctor Who Time and Space. We have the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance and iTunes. So you can see us on any of those places, and we'll have regular updates. And on YouTube as well, I'm doing these first opinion videos, so if you want to hear what my first thoughts of the episodes are before it's really synced in, because it will be absolute first thoughts, because I'll only just have watched it by tomorrow on the episode of First Opinion, you can see the back catalogue of all of those Series 10 reviews.
Okay, there we have it. So thank you very much for listening to us.
I've been Lewis Moon.
I've been Dr. Cool.
We'll see you next time, same space.
See
you next week. Bye.